Hi guys, new frame to look at today. This was sent to me by GoTime360, who's basically a chap who's been looking for quite a long time for a solid 3-inch frame with basically removable arms. And as he couldn't find one, a simple one, he decided to make his own. So he sent me in this to have a look at. So what I'll do is I'll put it together and then we'll see what we've got. Right, so I've put the frame together, and as you can see, this one is in a stretched X configuration. So if we start off, let's see how much it weighs. So it weighs, with all the hardware and camera mount, 49 grams. However, this frame is designed to be a bit of a kind of tank. So what we've got here is a 3-inch stretched X frame, and as you can see, the first thing that crops up is you've got removable arms, which is pretty rare on a 3-inch. So what we've got here is 2 screws holding each arm, or 2 bolts should I say, and the first one runs up into the aluminium standoff and the second one runs up into a nylock nut. So you've got replaceable arms. And I've seen a few forums recently, particularly from racers and people who are using 3 inches heavily, that there's quite a dearth of 3-inch frames with removable arms. So this is part of the reason I'm guessing that he came up with this design. But the actual quad itself is a bit of a beast. You've got 3mm arms, and I think he also does 3.5mm ones as well. You've got a huge wedge of a bottom plate, which is 3mm, and you've got a 2mm top plate. The arms have cutouts for 1407s, and the general cut of the carbon is really good. There are no rough edges, everything's really smooth, and the carbon is really stiff. The whole thing feels rock solid, and included with the kit you get some 3D printed camera mounts. Now when he asked me which one I wanted, I asked for the 20mm standoff version, but first things first, I recommend you don't choose that one. He also does a 28mm and a 35mm standoff version, and I'd probably get the 28mm. And the reason for that is, if you look, here's a Runcam Micro, and if you put it in, bear with me a second, you can get the camera in with 20mm standoffs, but you can't actually get any camera tilt whatsoever really. You can get about 5 degrees. So given that even on a freestyle frame you'd usually be running at a minimum of 15 degrees, the 20mm standoff version doesn't work with a Runcam Micro. Obviously if you wanted to use a Runcam Nano or something like that, then that might be a different situation. But he has a choice of different mounts, I think, in terms of the 3D. I think if you choose the 35mm standoff version, the mounts are designed for a Runcam split. So there's lots of different options for this. But really what this is designed for is basically just an absolute solid 3-inch sort of frame, which you could use for either sort of freestyle and have a really tough little quad, or if you're a racer and you wanted a practice frame or something like that, then you've got a frame that isn't going to smash every time you hit a race gate and break its bottom plate, etc. I've built this as per his photos. I'd probably mount the arms on the inside of the frame just to keep the bolts away from the ground and have this really solid bottom plate taking the load. As you can see, you've got cutouts for 30.5mm flight controller, and also a 20mm one as well. You've got cutouts at the back for a zip tie. You've got this big sort of camera butt here, which if you went for the higher standoff version, if I can get this back in again, gives you a lot of camera protection. If this camera was in properly, if I can get it in again, excuse me, yeah, if the camera would sit, can you see? The camera would sit like that. So this front bar here is offering you really good camera protection, and the camera itself would sit kind of like that. So these top plates are offering you really good protection as well. So you're going to get a lot of camera protection on this particular frame. Now, looking at this, when he originally said he would send it to me, my initial thought was I'd kind of make it into a bit of a proximity freestyle frame, using the Cobra 1407 motors that I had on the Featherlight quad. What I'm probably going to do is increase the standoff height, and I'm going to sit on this frame, and I may possibly, when the Runcam mini split comes out, I may possibly look into getting one of those. And given that it's really easy to change the stack height or the top plate height on this particular frame, it's going to be a really easy frame to use with the double stack of the Runcam Split Mini. So regardless of what stack height I need, I can of course just use taller standoffs. You know, maybe I need 30mm, maybe I can get away with 28, but whatever the situation is, I'll be able to use this frame to do it. And I can't really see any issues with using these TPU mounts with the Runcam Split. And if that is an issue, then you know, I'll just get some different 3D printed mounts, which are available pretty much everywhere these days. So all in all, I think this is a frame with a bit of promise. It is heavy at 49 grams. I mean, if you take my Zero S3, that weighed 27 grams with hardware. So this is a bit of a tank, but given it's got removable arms and a really thick, chunky 3mm bottom plate and a really big top plate. I mean, most freestyle frames don't have a 3mm bottom plate. 5-inch versions, they'll only have, you know, 1.5, 2.5mm. So this thing is going to be an absolute tank. So I'm going to kind of build it in that flavour. So my ideal build for this would be 1407s, a 20mm 20 amp ESC and 20mm flight controller, or possibly an all-in-one board, and a Runcam Split. And I think that way, if you played clever on the 1407s and got some relatively low KV ones, 3600 or 3200, which are the Cobras that I've got to hand, you'll probably end up with a really sweet little throw in your bag freestyle frame. And if you wanted to use this for race practice, then you could shave probably 3 or 4 grams by using titanium hardware. You know, stick some powerful 1407s on in 4100 kV and have a good solid little ripper for race practice. So yeah, so thanks for sending this in. It's a sort of sweet little frame. It's not going to ever be the lightest. It's not going to be the fastest, but it's really built to be strong and serviceable. So I'll put the link to the Rcgroups web page in the description, where you can contact the frame designer and obviously discuss what configuration, etc., that you want. I think he sent this to me on Friday or Monday from America, and it arrived yesterday. Actually, I think he sent it Friday, so delivery was really quick. So yeah, not much else to say. So I'll probably do a build on this at some point. It won't be in the immediate future, because as I said, I would really like to put the Runcam Split Mini in it and see if I have better luck with that split than I did with the initial one. But yeah, good solid little frame with promise. Cheers guys, thanks, bye bye.